Talking about that we're live on the Wizard and the Warrior podcast. I'm the 1-0 Warrior, apparently. Undefeated.
The undefeated 1-0 Warrior.
Yeah. I was telling you about the weight classes. So why there was no second fight. There was no second fight because there was no shows at that time.
Right. It was 145 and below.
Right, and I was 125.
With buckshot in your pockets.
Pretty much, yeah. Marbles, steel BBs, whatever. You get
whatever you can to get.
We weighed in at a Hooters, classy as shit. But the fight was in in our gym, Jerry Muay Thai.
All right, and this is in Kansas, right?
This is in the Dub K.
All right, I can dig it. Well, welcome to Sevenish Things. I am Merlin, your co-host, along with Ryan, coming at you straight from deep inside his underground bunker underneath Pflugerville, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
New studio.
7 miles below the surface.
7 miles below the surface of the earth in a secret underground lair.
Yeah, and I am going to crack a caveman coffee. Shout out to those guys. They make the best.
Yeah. I like that occasionally we run into these moments where it feels like we're just ripping off another podcast, but that's okay. Sevenish Things, topics for today. Big fighting and wrestling weekend last weekend. We're gonna do a couple of stories from the bar. I got another little soapbox thing since last time it annoyed everybody. I thought I'd do it again.
Oh, super.
I want to talk about text messaging as the worst form of communication, the best movie starring a pro wrestler, being that it was WrestleMania weekend, worst and least intimidating bad guys from the 80s.
And those last two came from my friend Brad. Special shout out to one of our listeners.
And last time I didn't do this, but a big thanks to Transform Fitness in Austin, Texas, changing lives one rep at a time. Thanks to Heartpound Music and T-Lone for giving me some of those backbeats that I put under the show. And, of course, thanks to our quickly growing-ish army. There are at least 100-ish or so listens that I can find on the...
we've got over 100 fans now.
Yeah, 100-ish fans.
100-ish? Yeah, maybe that's what they're called.
The ish.
The ish fans.
The ish fans, yeah. So, but the number one thing that I wanted to start with today, my number one on my bullet point, was I didn't know if you knew this or not, but I read this story a couple of days ago that apparently... Best Buy has opened a new store for the first time in 7 years. And just to give our ish listeners a little bit of background, you and I both come from a consumer electronics background. And
I worked at Best Buy when I was 17.
Yeah, so we spent a big hunk of our career slanging consumer electronics for the man.
Man.
So I was having this conversation. The reason I wanted to bring this up is I was having this conversation this week with an old colleague of mine about business and whatnot, and there's been this
business ethics.
There's been this phenomenon over the last 10 years as Amazon and online has taken up more and more of the retail space of something called showrooming, which is where people go to a Best Buy, look at the panel, and go, man, that thing looks great. And they go to Amazon and they buy it. So we were chatting. I was chatting with this old colleague of mine about this topic, and one of the things that we were discussing was how a lot of these old school AV grizzled salespeople are still selling speakers as if anybody
grizzled,
but anybody in that middle of the road, I'm willing to spend some money on my entertainment system space, gives a flying fuck what those speakers sound like anymore, unless they're talking about what it sounds like when it talks back to you. If it doesn't have Alexa, if it doesn't have Siri, if it doesn't have OK Google, people don't care anymore, and yet people are still out there. Best Buy's still out there trying to upsell you to that 8-inch driver instead of that 6-inch driver, and that blows my mind.
Yeah, this was made out of polypropylene, not paper.
Impregnated polypropylene, man.
Mm-hmm.
Kevlar drivers.
Yeah, with diamond. This one has diamond dust on it, so it makes it more rigid, push a little bit more air.
Oh my God! Did I ever tell you about the Sovo thing?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I was.
Is this a rabbit hole thing? I feel like we're diving down a speaker rabbit hole here.
We're on a one. It's just a Sovo thing. So for those who don't know, when you get into sort of the high-end speaker world, there's all these specifications that people look
nerds
to understand how good a speaker might be on paper before you actually listen to it. So they talk about efficiency and
decibel level,
frequencies, where it crosses over into the tweeter, what the driver is made out of. That's what we're talking about, impregnated polypropylene or Kevlar paper cones. what the tweeters
woven
are made
carbon
out of,
fiber,
ring radial tweeters, Teteron dome, silk dome, and there's all these specs. And so years and years and years ago, I was at a work trip at a speaker manufacturer, and I said, "Why don't you just make up your own spec?" And they said, "Well, what do you mean?" And they really got offended by this. I said, "Just make up a spec. Just come up."
I already tried to do this.
Yeah, come up with a reason to come up with some measurement that doesn't make any sense. Call it SOVOs, which I sort of is a portmanteau for sound volume. I said, call it SOVOs, and just tell people that your speakers are 97 SOVOs. And when they say, what's a SOVO? And you just
make up it's all these parameters.
Yeah.
That's what I try.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like we had this discussion. Okay, so now I remember what this is.
Maybe
I
we
remember
did.
I was working at the speaker company, and I was saying, look, our speakers are clearly better. They sound better, but we're going against inferior product. So you need to actually take the fight to them. Get real specs that actually are worth the shit and figure it out.
And just come up with a spec. And that's what television manufacturers have been doing forever. Samsung with or Panasonic, what was it, clear motion rate or something like that?
How about nothing is 240 hertz anymore?
No.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, those things, I don't know if people know what we're talking about, but 240 hertz.
They don't.
So movies, by the way, for those listening, are generally filmed at 24 frames per second, unless you're the most recent Hobbit movies, which they cranked it all the way up to 60 frames a second. Television is filmed at 29.97 frames per second. So when you buy,
of course.
Yeah. So old school televisions, 4x3, were 60 hertz, which means 60 cycles a second. They would redraw the screen 60 times a second, and in an interlaced television, that means it would draw 135 lines, 135, and then go back on a second pass and draw 246. So every 30 milliseconds, you would get a full picture. Progressive scan televisions changed that. So at 240 hertz, you're essentially seeing the same frame of a 24-frame movie 10 times a millisecond, which gave it that really weird, awful home video look to it.
Yeah, kind of. It has that. But it made some things better, because I think that basically it was the processing in the TVs that made, like, when someone would swing and hit a golf ball and it made it do like tracer lines. I think that was more of the processing and the TV's ability to handle the picture.
Well, I just know that I hated it. I thought it looked like shit. It did
look like shit.
It looked janky, and yeah, it was terrible. So I'm glad people are getting away from that. I still have a 3D television, which is another thing that went the wayside. We knew that was going to be a fad. But yeah. Going back to the reason I brought this topic up, Best Buy, so they opened a new store. When was the last time you bought something important at retail? You bought your microphone that you're talking on right now through Amazon, didn't you?
Yeah, I buy everything through Amazon.
Yeah, so do I. So
I don't go to the stores. I don't want to go to the store. I don't like it. It's not a good experience.
I don't either. And professionally, I have worked with major retail stores to try to make them better, and it's hitting yourself in the head over and over with a baseball bat, blue and
they don't
want to
listen.
Bat. No. It's so I don't know what the appeal is anymore. So I'm wondering, Best Buy opens a new store.
Well, it's kind of the fact that, maybe one of it is that we work there, and so we know what kind of brainwashing goes into it. They just make shit up, and they'll tell their employees that this is what to say, and then you just say this, and it's made up. I remember in 2000, they're like, yeah, it's mandated that every TV will be high definition in the year 2000. And we're in 1998 and selling people high definition TVs. Dude, we don't even have all HD now. It's 2018.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. But could you say that word again? Brain what? Brain
wash.
Did you say washing?
I said brainwashing.
No, I think you said brainwashing.
Probably.
Is that did a little bit of Kansas come out of there?
That's what happens.
So in Kansas, who's the first president of the United States? Is it George Washington?
Yeah, George Washington.
It's not George Washington.
Mm-mm.
When I was growing up, my dad grew up in Philly, and we didn't go back. I wasn't in Philadelphia from the time I was probably 2 to the time I was 12.
I had a Philly cheesesteak from there last year.
Nice. Which one? Did you go to the main place, Gino's or Pat's?
It was in the airport.
Oh, that doesn't count, man.
Bullshit.
So we go back. It's been about 10 years since my dad's been in Philadelphia, and he always had that little East Coast accent, but it wasn't real thick. We land in Philly, and I swear by the time we got out of the airport,
his changes instantly.
Oh my God. He was, "Hey son, could you give me a glass of water?" And I'm
what?
Yes, I'm sorry, father. Did you say water? Would you like a glass of water? Yeah. Give me a glass.
Did you call him father or did you call him dad?
Actually, I called him Pop and Dad, and he called me son. He just, "Hey, son." And I just recently started involuntarily calling my son with that while doing an impression of my dad's voice, just completely involuntarily.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Funny.
Hey son, how was jiu-jitsu? And
so for everyone on the that's listening, Merlin's dad, he's reminds me a lot of Jimi Hendrix.
Well, yeah. So he was. I'll put a picture up, but he was Matthew B. Love, certified clinical hypnotherapist, which
Nice.
is stop smoking in one session, lose weight. He was also a psychic friend. I was actually reading this thing last night on Goop, and I don't know if you guys know what Goop is. I hope not, but it's Gwyneth Paltrow's website, and it's full of sort of. It's got some interesting, good information on there, but it's also got some less than good information on there. And
we should do a segment about Rich Crazy.
Rich Crazy, yeah, future segment, Rich Crazy. But I was reading a specific article about a specific product, and it was I don't want to tell. It was a product. I don't know how I got down this rabbit hole, but it was a product that's used for it's a female product used for tightening certain muscles in the female body.
Mm-hmm.
But in reading the article, there's a practical purpose. If you get on a different website, you could read an article about the same product that is practical and science-based. But this article that I was reading was all about you should charge this thing in the moonlight first, or perhaps burn some sage around it. Yeah, keep it wrapped in silk and leave it on your altar. And I was like, oh my god. So
have you seen that? That women's pee thing that makes them sort of they can pee outside like a man?
Yeah, like the little cuppy thing.
Yeah, but my question is this, right? So like after okay, cool, you used it. That's fine. You got to put this thing that you just pissed on in like your backpack.
Well, maybe you got a little bottle of water. You just rinse it out real quick. Come on, that seems the least of my worries. I just feel like it's an extra thing to carry around. Human beings have been peeing outside, men and women, for 100,000 years as modern
allegedly.
Homo sapien, and then before that, Homo erectus and Homo
So what you're telling me is
neanderthalis.
we shouldn't need an apparatus to do this. Or
Granted, men were.
Yeah, but you could use it as a funnel.
Apparatus.
You could use it as like a funnel or something if you needed a funnel.
Well, I guess if you wanted to chug beer out of it afterwards, and that's your thing, sure.
No,
not your jam, but your thing.
You can't say jam.
I said that's why I said it's not your jam. I was merely pointing out I was making fun of my own idioms.
All right, so them opening this new store, what is that a sign of? Is that a sign of growth, or is that a sign of like, hey, we moved to a new location?
I don't know. Here's what I know in regards to working with that company is that they make a lot of money on advertising, and they make a lot of money by sort of ringing out their manufacturers to give them better deals and things like that. They don't make a huge amount of money that I know of by actually selling product. So there's not a lot of discount to be had. And they do make more of that money by calling up their manufacturers and saying, hey, do you want to be featured on our front page?
Yeah.
Do you want to come to our convention? Yeah, they're an interesting animal, and they've certainly changed with the times, but specialty retail, man.
They put both Circuit City and Ultimate Electronics out of business based on the same business plan. So I worked at all three of them. Circuit City could not figure out why the hell people shop at Best Buy. The prices are the same. The people that work there were less knowledgeable. Not a knock on them, but versus you're selling commission, you only get paid commission. You're going to be a better salesperson because that's how you get paid, not by walking around with a clipboard and dusting off a shelf.
Well, motivation, certainly.
And maybe right. In both Circuit City, and I listened to them for years and years, they just could not figure out, and it's still a mystery to this day, why the fuck people shop at Best Buy. It's a horrible experience.
Yeah, but I don't know either. But retail in general is interesting to me because if you know your shoe size, for example, I guess you could try on a bunch of shoes. Like I order shoes online most of the time nowadays. That's something that went, but you can't get rid of pet stores. You're not going to order a kitten online. I guess you could.
No, well, hold on a second. So I just got a new pair of shoes.
Okay.
I definitely went to the store to try the shoes on.
Did you? What'd
Yes.
you get? Tell me what you got.
I don't know if I'm going to post them yet.
Okay. Well, so I will buy shoes online through Zappos, which is great because you just send them. If I don't like them, I just send them back. But
We're
also
talking different.
Yeah, but there's a couple of those new sites that I don't know if you've seen them where you can create custom shoes. I want the toe to be this color, this type of leather, and this color leather. I want the heel to be this. I want the tread to be this.
So kind of like make your own clown shoes.
Yeah, like $300.
Oh,
and
that's all right.
Yeah, not too bad at all.
I'm talking like I bought a pair of designer shoes, right? Designer Louis Vuitton high tops. Now I went to the store.
V?
Yeah, you got to go to the store for something like that.
You don't. First of all, you should buy knockoffs, and you're a douchebag, right? Just saying.
No. Well, that may be the case, but at least I have a pair of nice shoes.
Well, I guess. Louis Vuittons. There's a club in my hometown, which I won't say the name of because I'm not going to say anything nice about them. But this is a town well north of San Francisco in the wine country, and there is a club. There's like one nightclub in the town, and I was there for my 20th high school reunion, and a bunch of us wanted the party to continue after the reunion portion fizzled out, and so we went to this club, and a good portion of us weren't wearing collared shirts. We were wearing expensive, nice shirts, some of them t-shirts, some of them v-necks, things like that, but they have a collared shirt policy and no tennis shoes. And my buddy, he's wearing some really nice, kind of not LV, but another brand tennis shoes, expensive $1,000 tennis shoes, right? And he's wearing a really, really expensive V-neck t-shirt. He's a built guy, right? Kind of ripped up. Mm-hmm. So he looks good. He looks super classy. And they're like, you can't come in. And wait, what? And eventually I asked the guy, I said, straight up, are you telling me that if I go down to Walmart and buy a $6 polo and some slip-on shoes, he says that's our policy. So that's what we did. My buddy went into that club wearing someone else's shoes and a $6 polo over a $200 t-shirt.
Well, there's a reason for that, why they do that.
No, there isn't. What's your reason? What do you think?
Well, I was a door guy. So the reason why they do that is so they give you the ability to straight up tell people, certain types of people, that they can't come in the club.
Which certain type are you referring to? Are you suggesting that there's some sort of cultural bias going on here?
I'd say that if you look a certain way, that you probably shouldn't be in this place. That's what they'll tell you.
Yeah.
And that's what they would tell you.
Wow.
I wasn't cool with that. I was at I worked as a door guy at a certain place for a very short period of time, and this was the last incident. I let everyone in. Why? They got money to spend. They look like nice people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you...
Yeah, who's got more money, the guy in the Walmart polo or the guy in $1,000 shoes?
Who's going to spend the money?
Yeah.
Right. So the guy wearing all the gold chains and the baggy pants and everything, it's like, all right, dude, just pull your pants up. I mean, that we got to have. We got to fix that part. But they're going to drop coin. And most of these jackasses that they let in didn't spend any money. I was like, why would you let these fuckers in here? And so this is a funny thing. So I'm the door person, and these... four or five black guys come up to the door, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, something about these guys, right? They're dressed very well, everything. The door guy comes up behind and says, do not let them in. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, she's like, don't let any more, I'm gonna say black people. That's not the word she used. I was like, what the fuck?
She used a very different word.
Oh yeah, she did. And I was just like, well, I'm not fucking cool with that. I just let them right in. Guess who they were? They were fucking Kansas City Royals players.
Yeah.
And of course, they heard what she said because she was a foot behind me and they were 2 feet in front of me. And I just like the look on my face was just I was so embarrassed. And I just like for that person, and I just said, open the gate. I said, come on in, guys. Free on the house. Free. You don't have to pay cover. Come on in. Yeah. That's how we do it in the pros. I was just super embarrassed. Speaking of stories from the bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great segue. Hold on. Before you get there, I was just going to say, nowadays, isn't it really weird when you get sort of presented with overt, direct racism? This happened recently where somebody I was talking to just busted out like those N-words down the street, keep playing their music. And my friend, and my friend just looked at him like, are you... what planet are you from? Like, and she corrected. She's like, that's not okay. But when that kind of stuff happens, it's just, I don't even know how to react. They look like another planet. And I mean,
it's the more of the fact that, like, that person actually really meant it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like you were singing a rap song and the words slipped out or whatever. It's like, dude, 100% total fucking dirtbag, meant it.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's so. Anytime I'm confronted with the horribleness of humanity, either on an individual or
do you use the term
basis,
human stain? I say human stain.
Yeah, that's pretty apropos. So, war stories from the bar. So you had an anecdote that you thought would be worth sharing.
Oh God. So I have a bunch of these because I worked in the industry, right? So I remember one time I was working at some after hours bar, and so it was like 2:00 in the morning till like 3. I don't want to say 4:00. I don't even remember. So people would come in and they were drunk and they weren't supposed to serve alcohol, but they were serving alcohol. There was people selling ecstasy in there. I don't know what someone's doing, taking ecstasy at 4 in the morning, but they were doing all kinds of crazy shit. This place wasn't even a bar. We're sitting there and I was working at the door at the time, just, helping out my friend. And all of a sudden they come wrestling out the door with this guy and they're fucking trying to control him and everything like that. They didn't have any skills or anything like this. And I was like, just move your arms from his head. Let me just fucking choke him. So, they're kind of wrestling with him, and I just fucking locked up and jumped on his back. And I said, I got it. Let me just choke him, and then he'll go to sleep, and then we'll just set him outside nicely. Nothing's going to happen. The problem was, it was very funny, so I pulled a complete Jedi mind trick on this motherfucker. So I jumped on his back. I got the fucking choking. Dude, he just goes down flat outside. And then, I let go of him, and I'm going back in. Well, they shut the fucking back door behind me. And I turn around, and I'm standing there. And the guy's like fucking getting up now, right? He's coming to life. And so I was like, do I just fucking smoke this guy in the face? I mean, what's going to happen when he gets up? I'm going to have to fight this guy now. He was a pretty good sized dude. He was drunk. I was sober. So that's a clean advantage. Plus,
clearly an
advantage.
Advantage.
Plus I'm undefeated at the time.
Right. Still undefeated.
And so I just turn around and he's getting up and I just looked at him. I go, what the fuck, man? They threw us both out. What the fuck's going on? And he's looking at me, and he's still a little groggy, right? Because his kind of come back. He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. And then I knocked on the door, and then they opened the door, and I went in. And the guy and I looked back at the guy, and the guy looked at me, and he was so puzzled. I think he ended up getting back in, too. But it was pretty funny.
You definitely got him, and he just...
Oh, yeah. I fucking choked him the fuck out. Flat. I mean, he went down flat. I mean, I had his head, so he didn't hit the ground. I don't know. He probably hit the fucking ground. What am I kidding? Yeah, it was going to be worse, though, because they were because they don't know how to control anyone. So they were going to end up 5 people were going to end up beating this guy up. Mm-hmm. Oh, what? Another altercation that almost happened this weekend. This was with somebody that has osteoporosis, probably.
An altercation that almost happened this weekend? Was that Khabib v. Tony Ferguson?
No.
Bum.
Dude, we're at Trulux. Yeah, nice. We're at Trulux, which is this very, very nice steak and seafood place. And so we called up and they're like, oh, we don't have reservations till 8:45. And I'm like, fuck that. Bullshit. That's crap. So I was like, let's just roll into the bar area and we'll grab a seat. It's, sit wherever you want. So we get in there and there's already somebody waiting for someone to get up. People are treating this shit like beachfront property. They're not getting up from this. Ordering all kinds of food. I got motherfuckers sitting there with just cups of water. It's like, dude, move it or lose it. We're about to drop some coin here. And so we're sitting there looking at all this food going by and everything. So we order some drinks. And I see this lady come in 20 minutes later or something like that. She comes in and she gets a drink and then she's hanging out for a while. And then I'm like, then she leaves. I was like, okay. I thought she was going to try to hawk a table. I was like, that shit ain't going down like that. So she comes back and she's got 4 friends. So now there's these 4 the Golden Girls are sitting over there. I know there's only 3, but we'll call them Golden Girls plus 1. And they're sitting over there and I was like, hey, just to let you guys know, we got the next table. We're scouting out a few of these. We've been waiting here for over an hour. She goes, no, you don't. I was like, what? She's like the ringleader. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she figures out, right, she can take me out, then they can get the next table. So she looks at me, she goes, I have been here longer than you. You are with those other 2 ladies, and I have been here much longer. And I'm like, she came at me hard. And so I was like, well, if this was a dude, this would be a lot different situation. I turned and looked at my friend, I go, what am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to fight her.
Am I supposed to, are we supposed to, get in a wrestling match for this table? What if she, has geography on me and she gets there first?
You're supposed to fight her. You're supposed to take her out into the ring,
I know.
octagon, weigh in, the whole thing. You're supposed to fight her.
So I tried it. So then I turn around, right? I was like, yeah, we need to get paid for this and at least do some advertising.
Right.
So I turned around and I was like, okay, I'll put you this. I go, well, I said, we've been here we both of us think that we've been here for a very long time. You know, I'm not sure who's right here, but I tell you what, here's my receipt from the first round of drinks that I bought. Can I see yours? And she just looks at me and she's like, I'm not showing you my fucking receipt.
Ooh,
like,
you got her.
Holy shit.
Oh, you just got her.
I got her. And so then what I did is she's looking at this one table in the back. I went over to the other area and I saw him pay and I saw him start to do that move. I just got right over there with geography and I just fucking sat right the fuck down. I mean, that's like stealing someone's parking place. You're going to get fucked up for that.
Yeah. That stuff doesn't bug me. I would have, if she was that crazy about getting a table, I would have.
Hell no.
It wouldn't have bugged me. But
never back down.
My question is, why didn't you have a reservation? They don't take reservations?
They did, but they were full until like 8:45, and then this is like the bar area where it's a free for all.
And then, what time did you sit down?
Ready for the boom?
Yeah.
7:30.
Oh, okay. So you saved an hour and 15 minutes of your life, but you got a good podcasting story. That's exciting.
But it was crazy. Like I was like, what am I gonna do? He's like, and my buddy's like, dude, have Nikki kick her ass.
No,
and I was like, all right.
It doesn't need to get violent, man. Just let her have the table.
I'm just kidding. No,
relax.
It's not going to get violent.
Just relax. You got nowhere to be. It's like a weekend night. Get an 8:45 reservation and save yourself the hassle.
No, because we were going to the pinball arcade after that.
They were open late too, man.
I know.
Stop stressing.
I know.
Getting crazy on people.
I wasn't stressing, but it was more like a thought may have crossed my mind that if she tries to get that table, I'm going to fill this whole room full of uppercut.
Yeah, you don't need to get crazy about that stuff. Just relax and let it go. I'll tell you this. Here's my one bar story that just popped into my head.
I hope it's good.
This is years ago. A buddy of mine it was his birthday and we were in San Francisco and it was kind of a weird night. It was a Sunday and Monday was a holiday, President's Day, I think.
Oh yeah.
So we said, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? He says, let's go to the club. This is in my 20s when I could still do these things. And I said, yeah, man, that sounds great. Let's go down to this club. And there was this one club in San Francisco that was sort of there.
Was DJ Clown Hobo there?
No. This is more of a high-end Prince would drop in from time to time kind of club. One of those clubs. Yeah, one of those. I'm name dropping. So he said, let's go there. I'm like, okay, great. Usually it's $40 or $50 cover at the door, if not more. And
right.
It's his birthday. That's fine.
$50 cover the door. This ain't Vegas.
So we get down there, no cover, no line. I'm like, okay, that's weird. It's Sunday night, no big deal. We go inside, kind of walk in. We walk right up to the bar.
Is this
We're
gay
sitting
night?
there drinking at the club, and we turn around, and yes, it is wall-to-wall dudes.
Whoa.
Beautiful, toned, workout, good shape. Most of them shirtless dudes.
Shirtless? They check your shirt at the door?
Yeah, it was just wall-to-wall dudes. And,
you like walk in. I'm not gonna need this.
Well, no, it's fine. It was all good with me, and so we hung out there. We had a couple of drinks. We did some dancing. You know, there's a mixed group, so we had there was lots of girls there.
Oh, okay. I was going to say like you left that part out.
Oh yeah, but I mean it was definitely wall to wall. It was 8 to 2 dudes to women.
So it's like a bar in Kansas.
Yes,
but they're not gay.
But the dudes were into the dudes at this bar. So my friend, who was single at the time and was interested in finding a deep, meaningful, lovely, loving one-night relationship with a young lady, was like, okay, this isn't really our scene, so we should go. So we had a couple of drinks, we did some dancing, we had some fun, and we're like, well, let's go. He says, great. So we leave, and this is in the financial district of San Francisco, which is most of the time, Union Square, financial district kind of touch each other, and it's dead.
Right.
It's dead. It's Sunday night. There's fucking nothing open. This other club that he's like, let's go there. They're closed. We go, okay, what about this place? They're closed. And
you guys went back?
Well, no, we're walking down the street, super dejected. It's maybe 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday. And we walk by this doorway, just a guy standing in a doorway, which isn't an unheard of thing in San Francisco. And he goes, hey, you guys
no rules, gentlemen.
You guys looking for a party? And we say, yeah. What kind of party are you talking about, man? Like, it wasn't asking, do you want a party? Like, he wasn't trying to sell us drugs. He was clearly a door guy. And he says, yeah, we got a nice little party downstairs, 200-300 people. DJ's playing. Goldberg, the wrestler's there. I'm like, what? Wait, what'd you say? He says, yeah. Well, how much to get in? He's like, $10. We're like, Jesus, yeah, of course.
Oh shit.
Pay this guy $10. We go down 3 or 4 flights of stairs, and all of a sudden we're in this basement, and it's this crazy opulent pop-up underground speakeasy club. They've got
nice
5 4-poster king-size beds up against the wall. They've got tables. They've got DJs. They've got a dude playing the bongos and the congos, like a professional drummer. And at one of the tables is Goldberg the wrestler, with 20 girls hanging out. And
do you think he tells the story like this?
Oh, yeah, he tells the story. And then Merlin walked in with his posse.
This wizard-ass motherfucker.
Yeah, the end of that story is that my girlfriend at the time, she had a little bit too much to drink that night. And we get back to my buddy's house at 3 a.m. or something like that. She lays on his bed and just passes the fuck out. And me and my buddy are just shooting the shit, chatting about it and going over the night. And all of a sudden, she bolts up, punches me right in the face, and goes, "That's what you get for fucking hitting me," and then passes back out.
Oh, wow.
I'd like to be clear that I've never raised a hand to this woman in my life. I want that to be perfectly clear. I never touched her. I never hit her. I never threatened to hit her. We had never had any sort of altercation that would, whatever she was dreaming about came true at the end of her fist as she sat up, punched me square in the face, and passed the fuck back out.
So she's just passed out, wakes up, and just sends a straight right and hits you right in the cocksucker.
Well, she hit me like right in that nice spot on the left side of my temple, just behind my. If she could punch harder, she probably would have broke my orbital bone. That spot.
Okay, so I was gonna say, so you kind of turned, like you went like. Ee!
I saw it coming and I turned away, and she hit me in the side of the head. Yeah.
Why didn't you just catch it? Like catch the fist.
Like open hand, just snatch.
Yeah, like just catch that punch.
Like Bruce Leroy catching
Show
Nuff's punch.
My buddy was telling me back when I started training, 2002, and he was like, "Did you ever take karate?" And I said, "Yeah, I took it for like a couple weeks. My brother used to do it when we were younger." And so I went to class for like 2 or 3 times, beat the shit out of my brother, tuned him up a little bit. He still claims that was his victory. Yeah, so he was like, "You know how they do those blocks and stuff like that?" He goes, "Let me tell you something. If you ever throw a punch at someone and someone does like a karate block, run like you're on fire." He goes, "That motherfucker might be for real." Just a straight sweep arm up thing.
Yeah, Daniel
Russo shit.
Yeah. No. Paint the fence.
Yeah.
It was paint the fence. There was the sweep the arm. And not wax. It was sand the floor, which was the block.
Paint the fence.
Paint
That's
the
up
fence.
And down. That's the punch block. But
yeah.
No, just to be clear, it was pretty cool. My brother did he did that for a little bit.
Yeah, my son's studio where he does BJJ, the guy who owns and runs the studio, he's a 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got a black belt in Kali stick fighting. He's a legitimate badass. He's also the nicest guy I've ever met, and he's so good with kids. My son's 9.
That's because he doesn't have to be a tough guy.
No, he doesn't. And I can tell my son is... He's like, "Man, I want to be kicking. I want to kick and punch that punching bag, and now you got me rolling around choking people." Mm-hmm. Once it starts, he's into it, but I might have to put him into Taekwondo beforehand so he gets a little bit of both. I think he wants to learn how to punch and kick rather than just choke people.
Yeah, my brother went all through the Taekwondo, so he's a black belt now. He might have a stripe. I don't know if he has a stripe yet, but he's got a competition. He's like, "I want to do a competition," And they were talking with him earlier. And he gets to class, and he's a tough guy. And so he's like, "Okay, when can I do a tournament?" And they were like, "Oh, you might want to get a few belts underneath you before a tournament." I'm thinking, do those guys know you would just wreck them? He's like, "Well, it's just be nice or whatever." And I was like, "Well, I get it. It's fun." So he did this with his son, who got his black belt too, which was cool, and his daughter. Cool. So.
As a parent, it's empowering to know that my son is learning how to defend himself. Like that feels really good to me.
Yes.
And of course, the studio that we teach at, it's not Cobra Kai from Karate Kid. He's not teaching.
Cannot fucking wait for that. By the way, they did a study, and they said out of all the children bullied in the United States, 0 of them were wrestlers.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean,
it doesn't
feel like a real study, but I get what you're saying.
Or wrestlers or boxers. or jiu-jitsu practitioners. But basically, it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Very empowering to teach your kids that. I don't have any kids, but I mean, learn to fight. It's like, oh, that's really cool. You like nerdy stuff. You better learn how to fight. Yeah. You're gonna everyone's gonna get picked on, regardless.
Yeah, well, and I just like that he's learning to handle himself in a way that is protective to him, and it's a good martial art to know, and it's super skillful, and he's still having a really good time. He's gonna be, hopefully by the end of the school year, I think, working towards his yellow belt. He's got 2 stripes on his white right now, and he's
nice.
Doing really good. Yeah, in his mind, he's told me this. He said what he really wants to do is next time they start on their feet with elbow and collar lockup, he's going to try to pull guard directly into triangle, because the kids don't necessarily know how to fall yet. So he's just going to pull a kid right into a triangle. He's like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to pull
he needs to let the kid put him in the guard. Then he needs to hop up, take a step over, and put him right in the Boston Crab.
Right in the crab? Just put him in?
They did that. That was a mix. Someone did that in an MMA fight. I think it was fake. It looked
yeah, I think I saw that one. That was a good one.
Pretty goddamn fake. I mean, it's like some of those wrestling moves, speaking of pro wrestling, we'll talk about that, on this show, but
I think that's a good transition just in general. After this we'll talk about UFC, but
some of those moves are just so, I mean, the person has to be like almost dying for you to get them into that position.
Yeah, but crazy shit happens in real fights where people, the jumping off the cage things, and
for sure.
Eddie Bravo with his twister submission, and people have done that in the UFC. How do you get yourself caught in that position? In a jiu-jitsu tournament, absolutely, I get it. But if you can throw punches, kicks, stomps, and things like that, you shouldn't get yourself caught in that position.
Well, normally, like you said, Matt Hughes choked out Ricardo Almeida, who's an unbelievable Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. But the reason why he got choked out was because he got beat up first.
Well, yeah, you ring someone's bell enough times that.
Yeah, he was just unable to defend himself, and so then that's when the submission came.
Yeah. So what did you think about the fights this weekend? The dumpster fire that was 223.
It was a good card. I enjoyed it. I don't know. So I guess we could one fight I want to talk. Let's talk about the Khabib one first. So Khabib did an amazing job. I thought with taking him down, and just when he was taking him down, it was unbelievably one-sided, but he allowed Alaquintas, Raging Al, he hung in there, he didn't give up, and he started talking to him, because Khabib's always talking to his opponents, and he didn't like that, and he was like, I'm going to showcase my striking. Well, Khabib, your striking sucks. I mean, let's be real here. Exposed chin, backing straight up. I mean, just if he would have maybe added a few more punches on there, I'm no expert, but adding a few more punches as the opponent's going backwards, you can only go back so far. That's a danger versus someone like Conor or Tony.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if he wrestle fucks him, it's over. I mean, Conor's not getting up from getting wrestle fucked. I mean, no way. And that dude is powerful. He was just taking him down and just beating him up. And he could have taken him down and beat the shit out of him the whole time. He wanted to stand with him a little bit, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Well, I was thinking about it a little bit more about what I was talking to you, is that it felt to me a little bit like maybe Dana pulled Khabib aside and said, look, you're doing us a favor by taking this fight.
No way.
Alaquintas doing you this favor by taking this fight. Do us a favor and don't squash him, and don't just wrestle fuck him in the first round. Give him a little. I'm not saying he threw the fight. I'm just saying he might have changed his game plan to be.
No way. He changed his game plan because Raging Al was talking shit, and he hit him with there's a part where he pops him with 4 jabs in a row, and he's like, come on, one more, come on. And what Al was doing was he was getting his timing down on his punches, so then he started slipping his punches after he ate a whole bunch, of course. But
I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's all entertainment, right? And that card was such a dumpster fire, and it kept the main event rotating out. That I don't think for a second that you can dismiss that Dana White would at least say, man, I hope this is an entertaining fight. He might not have even said it to Khabib or Al.
Well, here's what I'll tell you.
But if he says it public, like, man, I hope this is an entertaining fight. I think it's really good for the sport if Khabib gets to showcase his other talents besides wrestling, and
for sure.
And this is a huge opportunity for LaQuinta to.
Let's talk about the opponent changes.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So you had Paul Felder, you had Anthony Pettis, and then you had Alaquinta. Okay. So Paul Felder, the commission said no, you can't fight him. So they were going to throw Paul Felder to Khabib because he was just going to get destroyed. And so then Anthony Pettis wanted all this money. I don't think so. It was always going to be Raging Al. And the reason why I say that is because that is Matt Serra's guy. Matt Serra's Dana's boy. So it's amazing how the other two didn't work out for various reasons.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the Rose fight?
Well, I think that I think Rose is a really good fighter. Just an all-around good fighter, and I knew that fight was going to be very different. Watching the weigh-ins on Friday, and how different Joanna was. She just
doesn't have any power. She doesn't have enough power.
She doesn't, but that even the weigh-in, she brought this kid, and she was talking about perseverance and that you can come back, and it was a different Joanna from the immortal, I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to eat you for lunch Joanna from their last fight. And Rose was the same Rose. Rose was still there to do work. She showed up. She walked into that octagon. She punched her time card, and put her lunchbox to the side and went to work for 5 rounds. And
she did. And Joanna was like, "Oh, I thought I won that fight." It's like, nah, bro, you got beat up from the feet up the whole time. Rose whooped her ass.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I thought Joanna would win the fight. I thought Rose might have gotten a little lucky the first one. Of course, we didn't have that much to.
There wasn't a lot of data, but by lucky you mean hitting a sniper accurate punch to the side of the dome.
No, I'm not saying lucky. I just said maybe. I mean that's the wrong.
Yeah,
word
I hear
use.
you. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but yeah, I think this was Rose making a statement regarding her that she takes. Not only does she take this seriously, but she is one of the best. Man, she's phenomenal, and I thought she had a real complete fight. I thought it was a really interesting. It was because Joanna still had that mystique of, man, that could have been a lucky fight last time, and that maybe this isn't going to go the way that Rose thinks it's going to go, and maybe Joanna's just going to come out and drop her like a bad habit. But that didn't happen at all. Rose just went. I thought the whole game plan, the whole fight, it was an entertaining fight for sure. Man, I couldn't be more impressed with
Rose.
Thug Rose, yeah.
Thug Rose.
Yeah, no yelling in this fight, but no screaming DC.
Well, he wasn't. He's been replaced.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's
Jamie
training,
Smith.
man.
Yeah.
He's got to be hitting camp already.
Right. So I'll tell you the fight that was the most impressive was old Khabib's homeboy Zabit. I'm not Magno Medashaparov. I can't say his name.
The most fight that was most impressive was
Khabib's boy.
You sure it wasn't Chiesa versus the window of the bus?
No, it was Ray Borg versus the fake glass in his eye.
Right. Oh, was it Ray Borg who got the glass in his eye?
So no. Chiesa got a cut on his forehead, and it looked like the tiniest little speck in the world. And then you have Ray Borg, who said that he got glass in his eye, but then on the video, he's wearing glasses. So this is an amazing accuracy by the glass, of course. Right. And he's not complaining, and the window's broken. Dude, you got something in your eye? Your shit's fucked up. So that's a total scam. But no, did you see the fight? It was it got moved to the main card. It was an undercard fight. It's Khabib's boy. Mm-hmm. His name's Zabit.
I don't recall.
He's tall. If you saw it, you would know. So he fought Kyle Bochniak, who was complete game the entire fight, but was just outclassed. Kyle's like screaming at him. He's got blood coming off his face. Zabit is just like jumping off the fence, throwing spinning kicks, just beautiful trip takedowns, ground and pound. It was just amazing. And then at the very last 10 seconds of the fight, Kyle's losing the fight. And he's just getting fucked up. And he's just like they're in the against the cage, and Kyle's just like does like this Dragon Ball Z power up thing and just goes fucking at him with everything he's got, and they're just throwing hands at the end of the time. I mean, it was a great fight.
Yeah, well, that was the fight that got fight of the night. They both got bonuses for that fight.
Both, hell yeah.
Bochniak
that dude.
And can you say that other guy's last name?
No.
Magomed Sharapov.
Sharapov.
Magomed Sharapov.
No, I bet it's Magomed Sharipov.
Okay, could be Zabit Magomed Sharipov. Sure.
Yeah, that dude's a stud.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a well-earned fight of the night, but I think that's the disappointing thing about the card was
the trash fire.
Well, the two fights that you wanted to be that fight were the main event, which wasn't going to be that once it fell apart 6 times, in the Thug Rose fight. I think you wanted to see that level of like let's just go, just keep bringing it.
Yeah. Then we actually got a card coming up, so we'll talk about this one briefly because there's only a few fights in here really kind of worth it. It's a free one. UFC on Fox. So you have Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje's an animal. He just lost. He's one of that amazing fight with Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, that was a crazy good fight.
Yeah. So all of his fights in the UFC have been fight of the year, which is insane. So I think he's gonna murk Poirier. Poirier's game, but I don't know. When someone was a good striker like Conor, like Poirier was talking all this trash and then just got worked.
I want to see Kanye. I want to see a good striker like Kanye.
Did I say Kanye? I said Conor.
I know you said Conor. It just came out as Kanye.
Kanye. And then, so that'd be my pick on that one. Who are you going to take on that one? That's the main event.
Gaethje.
Every
time you've seen that dude fight, he's an animal. He's just I don't think his career's long for this world. I think he fights like a animal. But I'm just looking at records right now. Poirier is 22-5. Man, I mean, this isn't a pushover fight. This is a good fight. I'm surprised this is not on a bigger card.
Yeah, he's won his last. Well, the fight with Eddie Alvarez where it was an accidental knee. That was bullshit. He was getting fucked up and he should have lost that fight. We won't go into that, but that was a no contest. So really, he beat Jim Miller, and then he lost to Eddie Alvarez. I'm calling it, and then he beat Anthony Pettis. So yeah, he's on a little bit of upswing.
Yeah,
but he got fucked up by Conor in 1:46.
Well, yeah, yes, he did. But not everybody got fucked up by Conor in a minute 46.
And then the last loss that he had to
barrier.
The trash can. Michael Johnson fucked him up too in a minute 35. So maybe there's some magic to that. If someone has some hard punching and comes on strong in the beginning, might be a first round end. Might be a telltale sign there. But let's talk about WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was for the professional wrestling fans. It was Super Bowl weekend, man. Very exciting for me. It was WrestleMania 34. Main event was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, which is the main event when I actually got to go see WrestleMania at Levi Stadium a couple years back. It was a good time. It was an enjoyable show. It was probably not. I would say it's probably a middle of the road out of 34 WrestleManias. It's probably in that middle.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I thought the women's wrestling was really impressive.
Really, yeah. The Charlotte Asuka match.
That was a very, very good match.
Very well choreographed. I thought the story was good. But honestly, the takeaway was how good and how fun and entertaining Ronda Rousey was in her first ever in-ring competition with air quotes.
And regardless if Triple H picked her up or helped her, when she put him on her shoulders, you could tell that was pretty cool. I mean, dude, what's he weigh?
He's got to be 260. He's more jacked today than he was when he was actively wrestling all the time.
Yeah, that was the first note that I put on that match. Triple H is jacked.
Yeah, that dude. Can you imagine? Just imagine the company that you work for now, or the company that I work for now, and the COO, the chief operating officer of that company, is that jacked. And he's putting out. You're thinking to yourself, man, I got to do this report by tomorrow, or I got to make these 12 phone calls, and I'm just going to jump on Instagram for a minute. You jump on Instagram, you see your boss. You see your boss doing a 1 a.m. workout. Just a crazy sauce 1 a.m. workout, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to make this phone call today. Oh, that meeting's gonna suck tomorrow.
Yeah, they unbelievable work ethic. I mean, total stud. And I mean, and then like I was my wife was watching it with me, and I said, watch this. And so you see Ronda whipping him around and stuff like that, and then Ronda's is inside the ring and Triple H is on the outside, and he grabs her foot and just yanks her out of the ring like effortlessly.
Yep.
Right? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and I was like, that's why there's weight classes. I mean, his strength was just unbelievable. He's like, she's what? Okay, what? 140 probably? Because she's not cutting weight, so she's probably around 140, 145. Yeah. Just yanks her right. I mean, it wasn't like she got yanked out of the ring. She got yanked right the fuck out of the ring.
Oh yeah, I'll say this about Ronda. Most of the time you watch new people show up, and feels more true for female wrestlers. Is that there is a little bit of a don't want to get hit in the face thing. And if you look at old female wrestler matches, they're not quite as adept at punching each other, and it's because they typically miss. So the interesting thing about it is the guys, and if you read a lot of wrestling, they've been trained to hit each other, that it's okay to hit each other in the face. And if you get a black eye, that's fine. But there's a little bit of a stigma about...
Oh, yeah, you don't want a woman walking around the black eye.
Black eye, right? There's a stigma about that. So that's going away, which is good. But Ronda, she took a DDT from Stephanie McMahon, and Ronda threw her face into the mat when she took that move. And all of the moves that Ronda took were really, really... She was, you can tell the difference between someone who has been legitimately punched in the face several times and her willingness to take it in the face again. You
said, you go watch the punch. She just body shotted the shit out of Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm not so sure that Stephanie wasn't wearing like some kind of like little padding in there or something. I mean, she just ripped a body shot on her hard, and she knew it was coming. She's probably like, I mean, that's what you got to respect about that. You were talking about that, saying, you know, how willing like the McMahons are, right?
Well, yeah, they won't ask you to do anything that they're not willing to do themselves.
If I tell you to jump off the fucking cage, do it, or I'm going to have to fucking do it, and then I'm going to fucking fire you.
Yeah. That's always been the case with Vince McMahon, is that they've always said that he's willing. I mean, recently, in professional wrestling storylines, maybe a year ago, maybe less than that, another wrestler, Kevin Owens, was doing this spot where he was sort of placing himself against the McMahons. He was going to wrestle Shane McMahon at something or other, and he headbutted Vince McMahon, 70-year-old Vince McMahon, and the backstage news was that Vince said, "No, don't pussyfoot around this. You headbutt me. You take it." And he headbutted him so hard that he busted him open the hard way. He actually split open Vince McMahon's forehead, 70-year-old Vince McMahon's forehead. And I'm sure Vince backstage said, "That was really good, Kevin. Thank you for that. I think you did a good job," while he's mopping blood off his head. And
I respect that. That's why it's successful.
Yeah.
Taker, I thought Undertaker's entrance was amazing.
Yeah, I think that's always
He's always had a good entrance.
He's always had a good entrance, and I think that he's the only person who's allowed to have that cheesy 80s, 90s wrestling moment nowadays. I think everybody else, you just kind of have to... There's a couple of wrestlers on the roster right now. They had a match called the Bludgeon Brothers, and every time they come out, I roll my eyes. I'm like, this is stupid. I get it.
They didn't do that this time, though, when they came out and kicked the shit out of those two tag teams.
Yeah, and I don't mind it if you're a couple of sort of people who are badass and whatnot. And if you're going to go with it and you take it all the way, there's a match maybe a month ago between a guy named Matt Hardy, and he's doing this weird sort of woken character, crazy character, and this guy Bray Wyatt, and they filmed it at the Hardy compound at Hardy's property. And it was filmed cinematically like a movie, and it was really ridiculous. It was super ridiculous, but ridiculous. It went all the way around the circle to where it was entertainingly ridiculous. It was meant to be ridiculous. I'll have to check that out.
Maybe I'll have to post that on the link. People
People
don't know what the fuck's going on right now.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But so I liked it. I'm a big fan.
But why did he come out? Why did he come out and fucking squash John Cena out of nowhere? I mean, he fucked John Cena up.
So I haven't read any news on this, but my understanding. So last year, Undertaker lost for the second time at WrestleMania over 25 years, and he retired. He left his jacket and hat in the ring, and it was everybody.
Oh, that's why when it came back, the jacket and the hat was in the ring.
Yeah, because he had left it in the ring last year as if to say, "I'm done." And of course, Vince calls him up and he says, "Well, I'm going to pay you $1 million to come and do one match with John Cena." And I'm sure John Cena called him up and said, "You come and do this match with me. You just squash me, right? That's John Cena
he's okay with that.
Yeah, doing what's good for business, and sacrificing himself in the process, and saying, let's have this moment. You squash me. It'll be entertaining. You won't be hurt by it, and it'll all be fine." So that was my feeling on that. I thought the Roman Reigns, the main event, was good. I always like it when Brock beats the shit out of people. And I'm the Roman Reigns fan. I'm the one fan who really likes that fella. I wish he would change his ring gear. I think he looks stupid, but
he needs it. Yeah, the stupid whatever, the shirt or body armor crap is lame. But I mean, he did get busted open the hard way. But Brock was rocking kind of a dad bod for him.
Yeah,
and I sent you that note about him. Dana said he needs to get into the USADA pool.
Yep.
And so he's cycling off so that he can get into that and fight. Hopefully, John Jones.
Yeah, in 6 months, right? That's what they're saying, because he's got a 6-month suspension once he re-enters the pool. So he needs a few weeks to cycle off, get flabby, and then start working out hard. And 6 months later, hopefully, fight John Jones clean. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't want to bore everybody too much with wrestling news, but I think it's worthwhile if you're a wrestling fan. I think it was a good watch. It wasn't the best. If it's not your thing, maybe check out the Ronda Rousey thing as a spectacle and move on with your life.
You should, because it was really good.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're a fan or not. I mean, I like wrestling, but I mean, we haven't been watching it. We need to.
Yeah, I still get people asking me, it's fake, right? And it's the most annoying question that I get. And how do you watch fake fighting? And then they turn around and be like, man, that's so stupid watching fake people fight. And they turn away from me and talk to the other person and go, oh my God, did you see this season finale of Game of Thrones with that sword fight?
That was a fake sword fight.
Yeah, I'm like, just because they're doing it live and in a wrestling ring doesn't mean that it's like I have a suspension of disbelief. I'll buy into the storyline a little bit. And it's these two amazing athletes putting on an athletic performance, trying to tell a story in the ring. And
is this a communication segue? Does this go right into text messaging and is the worst form of communication?
No. Before we get there, while I'm climbing up on my soapbox. Yeah. So, looking at feedback from the Ish Army.
The Ish Army has spoken. Cut that political shit out.
Yeah, and this isn't a political podcast. And I know in the past, particularly in the older episodes, I got on my soapbox and talked about the importance of, in the last rant, voting. And there are certainly plenty of things in the political world worth talking about, particularly this week. But I've listened to the Ish Army, and I want to move away from that. But in thinking about what was pissing me off, this week I want to talk about something that's maybe possibly even more divisive than politics, than Trump, than Hillary. And what I'm talking about is the Citra, the Simcoe, the Amarillo, the Chinook. I'm talking about malt and water and the bottle and the labels, the growlers, the crowlers. Yeah. So
is this the state of IPA?
No, I'm just going to talk about beer in general, because beer is basically, it's as ubiquitous to Americana as apple pie and baseball and, I don't know, anti-gay politicians walking around with dick on their breath. It's part of the culture. So let me say right out of the gate, I don't like beer. I maintained that for a really long time. I didn't get why people liked beer. I didn't understand it. To me, it's a whiskey and wine world. I grew up in the wine country, and I'm not saying that I never had my fair share of red Solo Cup adventures or backyard barbecues, keg stands, beer bongs, all that stuff. But I never really got it. I just thought beer was something that you tolerated to get fucked up, and that is true to a certain extent. There are those beers, those big market beers that we see commercials for during the Super Bowl that don't taste like anything. They're beer-flavored soda for all intents and purposes, and they're really there to facilitate getting fucked up. But 2 years or so ago, I just got this bug up my ass about trying to understand why people really liked beer, because I never got it. I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. And so my girl and I, we were like, she had the same problem. She didn't get it. So we kind of set forth and said, let's try to understand this. There's the Sacramento area is great for craft beer. There are 50 some odd breweries in and around Sacramento. Let's start going and let's try all the beer. So we'd go to a brewery, we'd sit down, we'd order flights of every beer they have and tasted every beer they have. And we bought glasses at all of them, and this is before she moved in. So when she moved into my house, she brought, all of a sudden I had 100 glasses.
Oh, wow.
Glasses. I know.
I can dig that.
Yeah. So if we ever open a bar in our backyard, we're set. So it turns out we tried every beer at every brewery we could. I like beer just fine. Sours are my thing. I really like sours. Sours are my preference. They are my jelly.
Oh my God. We had a sour. That reminds me. So that Pinball's place.
Yeah.
They've got a crazy beer selection. And he gave us this beer, and it was a sour, and it smelled horrible, but it tasted so good. I won't tell you what I said it smelled like, but
so I like stout. I
said it smelled like what I'd imagine prison rape smells like.
Oh, that's it. So when we were going around the breweries, we were taking notes, and I've got a litany of notes regarding the beers that we've tried. Some good notes, bad notes, but it became sort of a game of one-upmanship between my girl and I to figure out how we could say what this beer tasted like. And my favorite thing, and this is something she came up with, she said it tasted like the ground from under the tent after the circus left.
Ooh.
Oh, it was a bad beer. But I like sours. I've had ales. I like stout. There's been some stouts that I've had. But
it depends on your mood.
It does. But that brings me to the I.P.A.fuck. Whether it's like an American IPA or a DIPA or a TRIPA or a hazy IPA, I don't know why. I still don't know why. Fuckity why people continue to pour that shit down their throats like it's the ambrosia of the gods, when all I'm thinking is it's Pliny the fuck you. No, it's terrible. Which is why I said this would be divisive. Apparently, IPAs are all about something called IBUs, International Bittering Unit. So what an IBU is the scale of 0 to 100. Well, I guess you can go over 100, but it starts at 0 and goes up. And it's created for the sole purpose of measuring the bitterness of a beer by measuring the amount of this chemical called isohumulone, which is a bittering agent that's found in hops. So they measure the amount of chemical that's in of this beer, and they go, okay, this is 55 IBUs, which is a pretty bitter beer. But another way.
I hope you're right on this, because one of our listeners is a professional brewer.
Yeah, he's going to listen. So isohumulone measures the compounds in hops. But here's what's interesting about that is that it measures how bitter the beer tastes, or in other words, how much it tastes like poison. Literal fucking poison. Because bitter, according to a study by the University of Pennsylvania and a bunch of other people, has showed that bitter's role in human evolution helped human beings discern which foods were most likely poisonous. That's why we taste bitter. Poisonous, as in it's going to fucking kill you. So that dude with the Captain Handlebar mustache talking to me about the citrus undertones of the bitter, like Heartbreak bitter craft brew hazy double IPA, that sensation that he's trying to convince me that makes the beer taste good is actually my body actively trying to reject it to survive. It's a survival mechanism. But the good news for people who do love IPAs is that it turns out that as we age, as we slowly march toward the finality of a tragic, lonely, isolated, depressing, meaningless death, and our bodies begin to disintegrate, hold on, and rot well before we've ever dipped a toe 6 feet under, let alone 6 inches under, let alone 6 millimeters under, your ability to enjoy bitterness is a sign that your taste buds have deteriorated to the point that you're now in defiance of evolution and you're unconsciously trying to remove yourself from the fucking gene pool. That's what bitter is.
No, you're trying, like, basically you're accepting to die.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying?
Yeah, bitterness, the ability to enjoy bitterness is you trying unconsciously to accept death, which is why when people take that first sip of IPA, they make that weird scrunched up, crushed, angry face thing while simultaneously trying to tell me how good it is. Right. They're saying like, oh, this is so good. And their face, their mouth is saying one thing and their face is telling me that it's a lie. It's lies. It's a face full of lies.
All right. Here's what
I'm sorry.
Here's what I'll fucking tell you, Captain Handlebar Mustache. I love IPAs, but I like all beers.
Yeah, but you're wrong. So
I'm not wrong because
I'm not saying you don't like it. I'm not saying you don't like it. I'm saying you've trained yourself to. You've trained yourself to like poison, and that's fine. It's all subjective anyway, right? I like sours. Not everyone does. I've had sours.
Well, we were having that discussion, right? Is it like, do people actually like IPAs? So I like IPAs. I mean, that's what I get.
Yes, don't. I do. You've trained yourself to accept the flavor, and you basically have a Pavlovian response to make you think that you like it, but you don't because it's poison. It's bitter and it's poison, and you don't like it. You're lying. You're lying to yourself.
Well, it's not true. So here's what I'm saying.
It's also subjective.
I think there's groups of people who, I mean, there's definitely groups. Like I see people, and it's like, oh, what do you drink? Oh, I don't know. What do you drink? And so I feel like it's kind of it's been like the cool thing for a while now. So people just order IPAs because everyone else has ordered them, and those people definitely don't like them. And that's probably talking about exactly about what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm sure that I think that there's that term acquired taste, where you say it's an acquired taste, and that's true. We can train our senses to react a certain way. There are people who really like to get their nuts stomped on during sex. That's a thing.
Oh.
They love it. They enjoy it, but it hurts. They don't enjoy it, but they enjoy it. They like the sensation. Pain and sex can kind of go hand in hand. Our brains are wired to sort of cross the streams, as it were, to make it seem like the difference between pleasure and pain is minimal. And that's true. But it still hurts. They still feel the pain. And just like with bitter, you can train yourself to enjoy bitter. You can like Campari, which is so bitter that the only way to describe it is to open a dictionary, find the word bitter, rip that page out, and squeeze the juice out of it.
Campari and soda.
Yeah, that's bitter. It's super bitter.
That's called a hooker's drink.
Oh God, that's the worst drink ever. There's only one thing worse than drinking Campari, and that's drinking Campari.
Ugh.
But like I said, it's all subjective, right? I like sours. Not everybody does. I've had sours that were so tart that they made my tongue sweat, and I really like those. But at the end of the day, drink whatever you want. But I'll say this. If you show up to my house with a 6-pack of IPA, I would say, thank you. Thank you very much for your generosity, your kindness, and consideration of friendship are appreciated to me beyond measure. But don't get mad at me as you watch me pour your disgusting ass beer down the sink and offer you a glass of wine. But not Chardonnay, because Chardonnay is really gross. So
you should have. So you're talking the hazy IPAs and the New England style IPAs are basically considered the anti-IPAs.
Yeah, and I will say this. I have had some IPAs that I thought to myself, this isn't terrible. Like, this is not a terrible beer. And I also know that when you go to certain breweries, they do publish the IBUs of those beers up on the board where you're ordering flights, where it might be. And it's true that if there's an IPA and the IBUs are 25 or 30 or low relatively for an IPA, I enjoy it much more. It's all about that bitter for me and not wanting to...
Well, no IPAs are below 35.
No, I believe there are. I don't know that to be true.
No, it's true. So the New England IPAs, the reason why this is like the new thing is because, and I was having a discussion with this with my cousin. We were talking about, like, you know, when you have someone, hey, try this IPA, and they try it, and they're like, what the fuck is that? It's because they're, just like your point you're making, they've gone absolutely fucking bonkers with these hops. And so it makes them so super bitter, but we've been drinking them for years, and so we're kind of easing into it, and it's giving us that new hoppy flavor, but it's like boxing out like the new people. So the IBUs of a New England can be anywhere from 40 to 140.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Well, yeah. Do you know what? Have you heard of a hopback? Randall the enamel animal. It was a Dogfish invention. I think it was Dogfish who invented this thing. It's basically a device that it's a ceramic device that you pack full of hops, dry hops, and you put it in line from the keg. So you've brewed the beer, you've kegged the beer,
and it goes through the hops again.
And it goes through the hops again. You dry hop it. I think that's dry hopping, but it's definitely.
It's not like wet hopping. Yeah, I don't know. I've got we'll have to bring that beer expert on the
Oh, I'd love to, and I'll tell him that IPAs are gross, and that I've had some that weren't terrible, and that bitter is poison. I don't mind me telling him that. And he'll tell me, I really like IPAs. I think it's a good flavor, and then I'll tell him that his taste buds are dead, and he's a bad human being, and he should shoot himself.
He makes pale ales and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I've had a lot of beer that I've liked now. I've tried hundreds of beers.
Well, I'm happy for you.
But
I mean, I can't handle you like drinking wine all the time.
I can't get on board the IPA train, man. It's so bad. I've tried probably 100 different IPAs, and out of that 100, I would say 5 would be something if it was on a menu with the big ones. If that was my one craft beer, I would order that craft beer. I wouldn't drink an M Light or a B Light I'm not going to drink any of that stuff. But I would drink. There's maybe 5 out of 100 that I would.
Would you send me a text message about it?
About which 5? I'd have to look. I mean, I'd call them out. I'd absolutely say that this was good if I could remember their name. I'd have to go back through my notes.
No, I'm just saying because I got to fucking circle back to that. And text messaging is the fucking worst form of communication. That's why I'm in sales, right?
Right.
So the thing about the reason why text messages, they got to fix this. It's because there's no tone. It's the same with emails. There should be like a tone. It's like, all right, I'm sending this to you, and this is a 1 tone, or this is a 3 tone.
Yeah.
Or this is a 10.
Yeah, that's what emojis are supposed to be for, or emoticons before that. So I've been emailing since 1991. I've had the luster has worn off on text communication, and particularly in sales. I know salespeople in various industries who do a shit ton of business on text and WhatsApp. That's crazy to me.
You can't, because when I catch them on the phone, so I don't leave voicemails either. I will sometimes, but I need to catch them on the phone because I need an update. And when I'm about to tell them some information, I need to be able to judge their response and then form a rebuttal immediately after to basically maybe either, see if I can fix the situation because, they've seen an awesome demo from me and then they're looking at the price and they're like, well, where does it go from here? Well, let me help you. I mean, you can't send them a freaking email to get, a $40,000 sale done.
Oh, absolutely. It's a bit, to me, texting and WhatsApping and any kind of communication like that in a professional environment, for me, is like trying to play poker over text. Like, I call. Yeah. I send you a text that says I call, and you just go, oh.
Yeah, what are my cards?
Yeah, without being able to read it. That stuff's crazy to me. I don't know how. I think it's funny that people are trying to relegate professional communication to text and dating communication to text. Like, let's chat online.
That's insanity.
For 3 months online or through OkCupid or eHarmony or whatever. Let's chat for a while.
We say that, right? We say that, but we remember AOL, talking on AOL and stuff like that. But then eventually that would lead to a phone call.
It did lead to a phone call. People would eventually pick up the phone. Like I said, I've been online for a really long time. But
you get those CompuServe CDs so you can get the minutes.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole of politics here, but everything I said in that last political rant, I was watching the Zuckerberg testimony to Congress, and those guys asking the questions, both sides of the aisle, they were in their mind, the internet still comes on a floppy disk in a magazine. Like, that's where you get the internet, is on a floppy disk, free,
from CompuServe.
30 hours free on a floppy disk. It was wild. So I felt very validated about my last rant, watching that, and terrified at the same time.
Nope.
I did.
Anyways, that's enough of harping on the text message and the emails, but just like, people, pick the phone up, have an actual conversation and communicate with someone. You need to be able to judge the response, especially if you're in sales, or especially text messaging and emails and WhatsApp. That's for dick and fart jokes.
Not only that, it's not an immediate form of communication. If you text me, like, I don't feel obligated to respond right away. Whether you
I know that
or
very
text
well.
Me. Yeah, I will respond in my own. If you really want to get my opinion on something, just pick up the phone.
That's why I trap you on WhatsApp, because I can see if you looked at it.
Oh yeah, and I'll leave your ass on red.
I know you know that I'm doing that to you. I send you that yo, and the second I seen those 2 blue check marks, I fucking hit you with the hammer.
Yeah, man, I will.
Now I know you've seen it, motherfucker. I know you've seen that shit.
Isn't that like, that was the answer to? Man, I feel like text messaging needs to be more immediate. Okay, what if we put in a methodology some sort of tool that allows someone to see if the other person read it? It's like, oh my God. And half the time I've read your message because it's in my previews, like in my drop down on my phone.
I know.
But it doesn't check that box.
Well, it's like if I take time to send you something, I expect at least like a heh or an LOL or something like that, because I took time out of my day to send that to you because I thought it was important. Right. Now, it's probably not.
It's not.
But
it's really not. And sometimes I will respond to you just to be a polite person. But sometimes I got other shit going on, and I won't look at my phone. My phone never has its volume up, and almost never is on vibrate. It's almost always exclusively on silent, and I have to actually look at it and go.
Mine's always on silent. That's why I love my Apple Watch.
Yeah, a light has to be flashing, and if that light's not flashing, then I don't know that you've sent me anything. That's just the way it is.
Well, yeah. I feel you.
So yeah, this has been good so far. But the last 2 things on our list, our ish list, is best movie starring a pro wrestler, which you probably should have bookended over the WrestleMania conversation. But you had an opinion on this, and I have an immediate opinion on this.
Let's hear yours first.
They Live, Roddy Piper. It's got to be at the top of the list.
They Live is a phenomenal movie.
It's not only a phenomenal movie,
and that's when he was at his biggest.
Yeah,
he's big in that movie.
He's super big in that movie, and my girlfriend's son, who's 12, said to me, he made a quote, I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. It wasn't kick ass, it was some other context, the game we were playing. I came here to do something and chew bubblegum.
That's from Duke Nukem.
It's not. It's from They Live.
Well, I know it's from They Live, but he says it, and you said video games, so that's where he got it from Duke Nukem.
I don't know where he got it. He's not old enough for Duke Nukem either. Duke Nukem was 25 years ago, man. He wasn't Duke Nukem. It wasn't. It was something that it came up, some meme or something like that, where it's just part of the culture, and he had no idea where it came from. That's how good They Live was.
Oh my God, it's like the very end when. So for people who haven't seen They Live, it's basically a movie about, I guess about capitalism, right? Is that what you'd say?
No, I would say it's a It's a John Carpenter sci-fi movie about aliens who have completely infiltrated society. They look, talk, walk, act like us, and they have created a culture. Our capitalist society is them driving it. So
but they're driving it, and so there's. When you're looking at like advertisements and stuff like that, you don't know.
Yeah,
and basically, Roddy Piper finds these special glasses, and he's able to see that they're actually aliens. And then he can, instead of seeing the advertisements, he sees what it really wants: consume, obey, all these different things that they're telling us subliminally. And
that's another one of those ones that's permeated through the culture. The obey sign is that's a whole brand based off of that scene in that movie.
Well, I think the best part is the end. When they're showing that and they're doing the newscasting and one of the newscasters is still human and looks over and he goes, Charlotte, what the fuck's wrong with your face? Because he can see that she's an alien.
Right. He blocks the signal. Yeah. So what's your
you guys need to pick it up. I don't know, man. You kind of threw me for a loop on that one.
What was the one you were going to say?
Well, I'm still going to say it, and it still counts. Friday.
Friday. You're talking about Tiny Tim Lister? He's not a professional wrestler. No, he doesn't count.
Bullshit. He's not a professional wrestler. He was at a WrestleMania.
He was not at a WrestleMania. He was at a SummerSlam.
Doesn't matter.
He played Zeus in No Holds Barred.
Okay, fine. All right, fine. Rocky 3. Get some.
Yeah, that's Thunder Lips. I'll give you that one. Hulk Hogan.
Well, it's Thunder Lips. That's Mr. T and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, but you can't count Mr. T as a professional wrestler. So
is there some fucking rules that I should have read before we started this?
Yeah, the rules are someone has to actively been working as a professional wrestler. Not done a match, a one-off match, because that makes Maria Menounos a professional wrestler. Because she's wrestled a match at WrestleMania. That makes Cyndi Lauper a professional wrestler because she was at WrestleMania.
Well, she was at it. She didn't wrestle.
Sure, but there have that.
Hold on. That makes then if that counts,
Kevin Federline a professional wrestler because he wrestled a match against John Cena.
Okay, all right, but I'm just saying if we're gonna use those rules, and if then Cyndi Lauper counts, then she's in the movie Goonies.
Well, I'm saying Cyndi Lauper doesn't count. Mr. T doesn't count. Tiny Tim Lister does not count.
Okay, but Rocky 3 counts.
Rocky 3 absolutely counts because you got Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea playing Thunder Lips. Sure.
Oh, no. We're wrong. Princess Bride.
Andre the Giant, of course. Princess Bride is probably, I think that's probably objectively the best actual piece of cinema starring a professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the sake of the conversation, you have to exclude everything but maybe the first 3 Dwayne The Rock Johnson movies. Because everything is, every movie he does is a movie.
They're all the same.
But every movie he does is a professional wrestler movie. I'm just saying, he's done 30 movies now. He made a transition. He's not a professional wrestler anymore. He was.
Right.
He made the transition. So I'm saying The Scorpion King, The Mummy Returns, I'll give him all the way up to Doom. When he did Doom and everything past that, he gets to be an actor. Before that, he's a professional wrestler. That's my demarc point on the
So what's the best? So what are we saying the best movie starring a professional wrestler? Is it They Live? Princess Bride?
I think the answer is the best movie. You asked the question, the best movie starring a professional wrestler. So
yeah, which one are you going with?
I'm going to go with They Live. He's the lead. Andre's not the lead in Princess Bride. I think that's the best piece of cinema.
I love that movie.
A professional wrestler, but he's not the lead. That's Wesley and Buttercup. I think. Yep. I don't think a Hulk Hogan. There's no Hulk Hogan-led vessel. Suburban Commando is pretty funny if you go back and watch that one. But
Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny, The Chaperone with Triple H. There's a bunch of them. A bunch of movies.
Spider-Man. I mean, if you want to say starring.
Yeah, no, starring.
Bonesaw.
Macho Man is Bonesaw. But I think starring a professional wrestler, I'm going to go with They Live over No Holds Barred and Suburban Commando and
Yeah, I'd say you're right on that one.
And there's
how about John Cena movies?
Yeah, again, I'm going to give John Cena all the way up until that movie he did with what's her face, the comedian, Amy Schumer.
That was funny. Trainwreck.
everything before Trainwreck, he's a professional wrestler. Everything after Trainwreck, he gets to be an actor. That's my demarc point on John Cena. And so you talk about the 12 rounds or...
Oh, wait a second. Hold on a minute. Predator.
The first Predator?
Jesse the Body.
Yeah, okay. And then he's not a star, though. He's definitely a player in that. And okay, that matter,
well, all right.
You're about to go to Running Man, too.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sticking with They Live, man.
I'm just saying. I think that if it's the lead actor, the best movie with starring a pro wrestler as the lead actor, that's definitely They Live. If it's a movie, the best movie that has a pro wrestler in it,
it's got to be Princess Bride, but
over Predator?
Yeah, I think so.
Or Rocky 3?
Yep.
I'll say three-way tie.
You can. So, speaking about Predator, we had on our list the worst and least intimidating bad guys from 80s movies, and I think Predator's not on that list. I think he's a pretty terrifying villain, as was the aliens and the xenomorphs in Alien. Mm-hmm. But who for you offer this up on the list today of the 7-ish things. What's your least intimidating or worst bad guy from 80s movies?
Well,
you had an idea when you said it, so I want to know what you...
Clearly, I was definitely thinking of this. You're looking at Bennett from Commando. We've joked about that 1,000 times.
I don't need a gun, John. I don't need a gun.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is that Robert De Niro was supposed to play that character.
Is that why all his...
Yeah, that's why nothing fits.
Yeah.
So Robert De Niro definitely wouldn't have been as good.
And so they went out and got fat Freddie Mercury. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So bad.
Dude, that's like he's like Arnold's best friend still to this day.
Oh, can you imagine hanging out with those two guys?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. But so that, I mean, like, he's like super, like, he's like, the whole movie, he's like, oh, it kind of reminds me of No Country for Old Men, right? How Woody Harrelson, the whole time, he's like, I'm the only reason that's protecting, the bad guy from you guys. And then he gets murked in like 3 seconds. It wasn't even a fight. It's the same thing, right? But he actually, you actually believe for a second that this dude's going toe to toe with Arnold, who is fucking jacked in that movie. That's got to be one of the biggest guys ever in cinema. When he picks up that log and you just see that fucking 24-inch python.
Yeah, I'm really stuck now on the fact that they still hang out, and I can't imagine being at dinner with those two guys. I would just be harassing them both. At a steakhouse, be like, Arnold, say it, buddy, say it. And
he does it all the time. He always says that shit.
But he rolls his eyes at me, and he turns to his buddy, and he's like, you want to
who
put the
you
knife
think super lame? Who's super lame from the 80s? There's a ton of them.
I'm gonna give you one that's gonna be super unpopular, and it's gonna steal a bunch of nerd cred from me by far.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader.
Ooh.
I think he's a lame villain. I always have. He looks like he's a walking microwave oven. His costume was designed in the 70s. I think in Rogue One, where he pops up at the end of Rogue One. Is it Rogue One? Yeah, I think it's Rogue One.
I didn't watch any of the new ones.
Rogue One's great, and then he pops up at the end of Rogue One. He's terrifying and awesome in Rogue One. Loved him in Rogue One. He was the Darth Vader that you always wanted him to be. And he's a dick in Star Wars because he'd be choking folks and whatnot. But he's not scary to me. There's nothing scary to me about Darth Vader. He's just a guy in a silly helmet. He's not intimidating. He doesn't do it for him. He's not. I think he's kind of a lame villain. I like this. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a huge franchise fan. But yeah, he's just not. I think they made him. I think his legend is more than his character, frankly. And when
that's possible.
So that's for me. I think he was a lame villain. If you go through
the first Rambo, the fat cop.
Yeah.
That was super lame.
I think anytime Brian Dennehy's been in a movie as a villain, he's got to be up there. Dennehy never.
There's a movie that Dennehy's the bad guy and that I actually really like it.
Are you going to talk about that fighting movie?
Yeah, Gladiator.
Yeah, Gladiator, where he punches him in the dome and to break his hand. Make your opponent think you're weaker than you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I don't care.
Yeah, that's an okay movie. But Dennehy's he's just that. Patton Oswalt had a quote in one of his stand-up bits about Brian Dennehy coming up to him at a catering where no one's eating because it's a Hollywood party, so no one's eating the food. And Patton Oswalt's eating it because Patton Oswalt's Patton Oswalt. And Brian Dennehy comes up and he goes, character actors, who gives a fuck if we eat? If you're going to be in that movie, in a fighting movie, yeah, I don't want you to be chubby. I just don't. I'm chubby, but I don't want to be the villain in a fighting movie either. I want the villain in all fighting movies to be Zeus from No Holds Barred or modern day Brock Lesnar. That's what I want.
What about what the fuck is his name? John something. The Cobra Kai sensei.
Oh no, I thought he was good. I thought he
was super lame though. He got whooped on. I mean, it was like
he did, but he was super dickish, and that was his role. And Johnny's the villain in that movie, by the way. They're the hero in the new show, and I'm so excited about that.
I can't wait for that. My God,
I'm so stoked. I will buy YouTube Red just to watch that show for sure. It's high on my list. I watched the trailer again last night because I wanted to know if it came out and I missed it. It comes out in May. For those who don't know, Cobra Kai, and I'm so excited because for years I have had aspirations of doing two things with my kids. One, filming a scene-by-scene recreation of the Rocky IV training scene with my two kids. My daughter was going to play Rocky because she's a brunette, and I was going to dress my son up as Ivan Drago and just do a literal scene-by-scene recreation. I was going to get a wheelbarrow and have her lifting it with a bunch of stuffed animals in it. Just the whole thing, scene by scene. I wanted to do that for years.
This is hilarious.
And the other one that I really wanted to do was get Cairo to dress up for Halloween as a Cobra Kai.
I mentioned this earlier. Have you ever seen the movie Never Surrender? I think it's Jean-Claude Van Damme's first movie.
Yeah.
He's super fucking lame in that movie.
He's lame in a lot of movies, man. Have you watched JCVD? His television, or not JCVD,
no.
Jean-Claude Van Johnson?
Mm-mm.
Do you know
I
what
saw
I'm
it on there.
About? Oh my God. So you should watch it. It's fucking hilarious. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays Jean-Claude Van Damme, where he's retired, but apparently during his whole movie career, he was also an international assassin and spy. And so he gets back into the business as so his Jean-Claude Van Damme is his real name, but he's a spy and mercenary and assassin under the name Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
Oh my God.
It's so funny. And the funniest scene in the opening episode is I don't mean to spoil it, but he goes to a hipster pop-up restaurant experience in LA called Dry, DRI, with a little line over it, and all they serve is dry ramen. It's just a cake of dry ramen.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
I know, this is so weird.
But it feels so LA, so Bay Area, so pop-up restaurant, froofy food. It killed me. I died laughing. You should check out that show. It's a good one.
All right, one more. The Nuclear Man from Superman 4.
Oh, God.
Fucking lame.
Super lame. He's got to be the lame. I think you just nailed it. I think you hit it out of the park. That's got to be the lamest.
It could have been something so cool.
Yeah,
well,
I don't
let's
know.
not go that far.
I don't know how you could have made that guy any cooler. He was. That's got to be the worst from '80s movies. That's
maybe we'll revisit this.
Maybe some research needs to be had. But we're at an hour.
I think I agree with you.
Nose.
Yeah, Darth Vader. I'm gonna agree with you that he's fucking lame.
Yeah,
people love Darth Vader, but I mean,
I love Darth.
Did he whip
Vader.
any? Did he whip any ass?
No,
like
that's
the
what
deal.
I'm saying.
If you're a bad guy, you gotta fuck someone up.
That's you see you're making my point for me. In those movies, Darth Vader whoops no ass. He fights Luke, who doesn't know how to fight yet, and so he beats Luke. He fights Obi-Wan, strikes him down because Obi-Wan says, "I'm done." Right? Here's how I win this fight on a macro scale rather than a micro. I lift up my gloves and I get hit.
Kind of. He kind of said this is chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah.
Yeah. And so,
I get it.
Vader whoops no ass in those movies, which is why.
Maybe we'll switch this to the 90s.
In Rogue One, he whoops some ass, which is why he's a better villain in Rogue One than he ever was in the opening one. But you're right. You just you made my point without me being able to properly articulate it. You did it for me. And I think with that, we're going to be done. We're going to be done for today. Episode 9 in the can.
I think that's nice. Wrap it up, episode 9.
Yeah.
We're working on some new episode 9 and a slice. We'll have another puppet show.
Yeah.
Do you want to call that a puppet show? Is that a mannequin
know,
thing? What is it?
I don't know. The character animator, I think, came out really good. I'm going to put one of your bar stories back into that. So.
Oh, fun.
I have aspirations of possibly doing the audio for an entire episode, the YouTube version being replaced with puppets for you and I, but I have to create an animated character of myself.
You should have a wizard hat on.
I was thinking about just animating a whole wizard, or on my personal Facebook, the aforementioned picture of me from the 5th grade with the mullet. I put that up. I was thinking about animating that. I was thinking about animating my 5th grade.
Can you give me a mullet
picture? Yeah, I can give you anything you want.
Oh my God, I think that's hilarious.
Don't you? I mean, you noticed I put you in a shirt. Here, this is what makes the internet crazy.
Well, this podcast is sponsored by Transform Fitness. That's why I'm wearing the gear.
Yeah, I get that, but here's what I'm saying about the internet being crazy. So I needed a shirt to put you in. I needed the body of somebody, and I was like, Ryan would be mad if I gave him a beer gut. So I Google t-shirt or athletic t-shirt or something like that, and I find that picture of that body, and then I replaced the arms and I put the Transform Fitness logo on it and all that shit in Photoshop. And then since then, in my Facebook feed, because I have that cookie from that site that I pulled that picture, I've been advertised that shirt every day to purchase it since I put it up.
Oh, it's so funny. Someone goes, well, you don't look like that. I go, that's exactly what I look like. Okay, I don't have this barrel chest, but I still look decently buff.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
It's the fucking puppets. Amazing. That's amazing.
Well, okay. So we're good. So, yeah, thanks again to Transform Fitness in Austin, Texas.
We're going to have some merch coming soon, so maybe we'll do like a giveaway to one of our fans or something.
Yeah, we should do merch. That to our quickly growing Ish Army.
Kind of crazy. Is that what we got to figure out if that's what we're going to call them, the Ish Army, or what do we call them?
I think we should just call them the Ish. The Ish.
The Ish?
I don't know. The Ish. Maybe.
Oh, next week we're going to talk about the Plastic Bottle Gang.
The plastic. Oh yeah, you gotta bring everybody up to speed on that. That'd be good.
Bring you up for the speed on the Plastic Bottle Gang. I can't get over that.
All right, Plastic Bottle Gang next week. Maybe some other fun topics. If you got suggestions for what you want to hear us chat about or riff about, please send it to me or Ryan. He's at Clock on Fire on Instagram. Yeah. I'm at Smoking Hamlet on Twitter, at Merlin Be Love on Insta. We're on Facebook at 7ish Things. I'm actually on Twitter at 7ish Things if you want to tweet directly at that account. Otherwise, that's it. That's all. Wrap it up.
This has been a Wizard and Warrior podcast, 7ish Things, episode 9. Let's go.